Hi, my name is Melissa Wise, and today I'd like to tell you the story of the Donkey Prince. It's a personal favorite of mine, which I have adapted from a book by M. Jean Craig. Once there was a greedy king and his vain wife. They ruled over a peaceful kingdom and had everything they could possibly want. Well, almost everything. The one thing they lacked was a child. One day a traveler came to the castle and spoke of a wizard who had the power to grant any wish. So the king and queen rode directly to the wizard, who agreed to grant their wish for a price. 50 bags of gold. 50 bags of gold, cried the king as they rode back to the castle. Surely 50 is too many. And as he loaded the bags, he placed in the bottom of each lead weights, painted gold. He was sure that the wizard would never know, but the wizard smelled the deception immediately, and he was furious. Come springtime, the queen did indeed give birth. She gave birth to a healthy, gray donkey. Ah! Those ears! Cried the queen, and the king sighed, for he knew it was his own treachery which had brought this upon them. So the donkey was raised as a prince. He was kind, and he learned to dance and play the lute. He was charming and well-mannered, but he was very lonely. None of the children in the palace would play with him, and his own mother and father could not bear to even look at him. So one day the donkey prince strapped his lute to his back, and he left the castle. He walked and walked through many strange kingdoms, over mountains, through forests, playing his lute. He learned to play the song of the wind in the trees and the starlight on the hills, and one day, many months later, he approached a beautiful palace. He requested an audience with the king, but the guards at the gate threw back their heads and laughed. "A donkey! A talking donkey wants to meet the king!" And in response, the donkey played on his lute a sweet, sorrowful song, and the guards, shocked at his skill, insisted that he play for the king. So the donkey was shown into the throne room where sat the king and the princess. And when he had finished playing, the princess wiped away a tear and sighed, "That was the loveliest thing I've ever heard." And so the gentle donkey was invited to stay. He had soon endeared himself to everyone in the castle, but especially to the princess. They spent their days together in her garden, laughing and talking. He played for her all the songs that he knew, all of those he'd learned on his travels, and all of those that he'd written just for her. Time passed, as it does, and the king began to consider the princess's marriage options. One day, the donkey overheard the king's advisers talking of the matter, and he grew suddenly heartsick. He had known the princess would marry, but he hadn't realized until just that moment how it would break his heart, and so he began to make plans to leave immediately. The next morning, he played for the princess a farewell song, and she cried and begged him to stay. "Have you not been happy here with us?" "Yes, my princess, happier than anywhere, but I cannot stay and watch you marry another." And the princess was moved by the emotion in his voice and surprised to discover all at once the depth of her feelings for him. She knew that if he left it would not be the music she missed, but the donkey himself, and so she threw herself into his arms, declaring her love and promising to never marry another. As she did so, a button appeared on the donkey's chest, and curious, he touched it with one hoof, and his donkey skin fell away, revealing the prince he'd always been. They were married the very same day, to the great surprise and utter joy of the king and the entire kingdom. The end. Thank you for listening.